Hey guys, Mamie here with OneJoyousSkip.com. Thanks so much for stopping by my channel today. And I am creating this project for Not2ShabbyShop.com for the month of April as a guest designer for their shop. And you can use my coupon code JOY10 to receive an additional 10% off of your order there. And so to get started today, I'm going to be using this Bristol cardstock because I'm going to be using my Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers to color the images in. And I'm going to be using the stamp set by My Favorite Things called Ninja Amazing. And it's a really, really great stamp set, especially whenever I got it, my 6-year-old was like, "Mommy, can I stamp these out and color them?" And so I will have a still shot of his creation at the end as well. And so to get started here, I'm going to stamp out these two little guys here that look like they're battling. And I'm going to be using my VersaFine Onyx Black ink, and that's a waterproof ink because I am going to be doing some watercoloring. You want to use a waterproof ink. And so I'm going to stamp this little guy down, and I'm also going to stamp him off onto a piece of masking paper, and that is the Ink-a-Dink-a-Doo masking paper. And I haven't used the stamps yet, and so I'm just making sure that I press down really well and get a good impression, because sometimes the first stamp off can be a little bit blotchy, but it came out fine, so no worries there. And then I'm going to stamp the other little guy here. I'm trying to line them up so that they're pretty even. And I think that worked out okay. I'm going to stamp him off on some masking paper as well. And so now I'm going to cut out these masks. I'm not going to make you sit through that, but even though it is very relaxing for me to cut out masks and images, it might not be as relaxing to watch. I'm not really sure, but I just went ahead and skipped over that. And now I'm going to put these masks down. I did speed up the video from here on out because there is quite a bit of coloring and stuff like that. I wanted to make sure that the video wasn't too long. And so I'm putting the masks down because I'm going to be creating a scene. And this is going to be a 1-layer card, which basically just means that you stamp everything down without adding any dimension. You don't cut anything out and add it to the top and anything like that. As far as the scene goes, at the end, when I'm putting the card together, I do layer it up as well. But as far as the scene goes, it's just 1 layer. And I'm taking my pencil here and just going across and creating a little bit of a ground so that I can put these palaces or buildings or whatever you want to call them in the background. And I just stamp those all over, just rotating back and forth. And I'm pulling those masks off, and now I have this cute little scene. And I went ahead and skipped me stamping the sentiment up top because I am not going to use it that way. I decide to end up cutting the card panel down, and sometimes that happens. You decide to go a different way, and that's totally fine. You know, most of the time I'm creating these cards for the first time, so I'm not really sure what I'm going for. I just have a general idea. And so sometimes it works out perfectly, and sometimes it doesn't. But that's just the way that I like to do it anyway. So now we're going to start coloring in, and I'm starting out with the black marker here, and I'm going to start on the far left because my light source is coming from the top right. And so I'm starting with on the far left with my dark black, and then I'm going to be using a gray color, which is called gray. And I'm going to go over some of that black and pull it out a bit into the white space, trying to leave a little bit of a highlight on the right spaces, the right side as well. And this is very simple coloring. I'm not really putting very much thought into it at all because it is black. The shading isn't going to be very apparent anyway, so I could have spent a lot more time on it, but I did have so much to color in that the shading and highlighting was kind of an afterthought for all this. And so I'm just going to show you me coloring in one of the ninjas because I colored the other one the exact same. And so after I used the lighter gray, after I used the black and then the gray, I used my water brush to kind of pull all that color over to the right. and trying to leave it a little bit lighter on the right side. And if you feel like you're getting too much pigment that you're pulling over, just wipe your brush off. That's whenever you see my hand go down, I'm wiping my brush off on a paper towel, and that just pulls off some of the color so that I can leave a little bit of a lighter area on the right. And my head is all up in this video. Look at my hair. Oh my gosh. There's like a lot of humidity. It's been raining a little bit where we are, and my hair is just going wild. It's so embarrassing. My hair is like frizzing out. But anyway, you ladies know how that goes. We don't always, some of us may not, but most of us always have bad hair days. And so now I'm using the color, let's see here, mid green, and I'm using that to color in the ground, the grassy area. And so I'm working in smaller sections because I find with the Bristol paper and the Zig markers, you want to work in smaller areas. If you leave the marker on after you draw it, after you put the marker onto the paper, if you leave it to dry, it won't spread near as well as if you go ahead and take your next brush and apply it to that color and start pulling on it. It will help it move a lot easier. And so I'm working in sections and just pulling that down, keeping the paper a little bit wet. And then if I have little parts that are a little too white, I'll go back in with my marker and just scribble in a little bit of color and just keep going. I haven't used the Bristol paper in quite a while, and it's funny how after you go for a while without using something and your skills have gotten a little bit better, you come back to it and you're like, wow, this is, the paper's working better this time, when really it's just that you're getting a little bit more familiar with the medium that you're using, and it's just, it's obvious that it's because you're getting a little bit better. So, yeah, so it seemed to just work really well for me this time, where usually I have a lot of blotching issues. And if you see like all those little specks and stuff, that's just where the paper starts peeling up a little bit. But once everything dries, you really can't see that anymore. So that it's fine. And now I'm taking the color ochre, and I'm trying to give these kind of palace things a little bit of a golden look to them. I don't show it in the video, but after I was done coloring, I did go over the palaces, and I'm going to be putting some ninja stars and stuff to create a back panel, and I do go over all those with my clear sparkle Spectrum Noir glitter brush pens. And so here I'm not going to show you all these buildings. Obviously I did them all the exact same. I left a little bit of a highlight in the middle just to give them a bit of dimension. And the coloring was really, really easy. It's just awesome how much of an impact you can create by doing all this masking. It just really looks like it's a page right out of a book or something. Also, here I'm going in and coloring the little boy's skin, and their skin is in the color oatmeal. And I just put a little bit of the oatmeal on the sides of the mask area, and then I pulled that color in towards the middle to leave a little bit of a highlight in the middle of the face. And then as far as coloring in their little straps or whatever that is, I used a dark red, which is called wine red, and then I went over a little bit with the carmine red and then used the water brush to blend those out. And this stamp set is so great for a little birthday party or just some special little boys in your life. I think they'll really get a kick out of this stamp set. And so as you can see, I'm using that dark red on the sides and leaving the middle areas of those straps to be a little bit lighter. And you want to be really careful not to pull in that black color because this is watercolor pigment. It will move around, and so you pull that black in and you might ruin the whole thing. So be careful when you're working around that black. Okay, and then I put a little bit of pink on their cheeks there. And this is where I decided to go ahead and create a different scene, a different panel with this background that I created. So I'm going to run that through my die cutting machine. I'm just using a double stitched rectangle die there. Pop that out. And this is where I'm going to take a piece of red cardstock here and run that through my machine. I'm using the larger size die there, and I'm going to take the little, oh, what are they called? Oh, ninja stars is what I would call them. I know that's probably not like what the real people call them, but throwing stars or something. And so I'm trying to just stamp those around the outside. If you see me stamping them in the middle, it's because I'm trying to, I haven't used the stamp before, so I'm trying to get a better impression. So I'm just stamping off in the middle to help condition my stamp a bit. And like I said, I use the Spectrum Noir glitter brush pens, and so you can see that a little bit in the still shots at the end. But I guess I usually don't show that on camera because you can't really see it in the still shots. So, which is really makes me so mad because it looks so pretty with all that sparkle. But for this one, it wasn't supposed to look like sparkle. It was just supposed to make the throwing stars and stuff kind of have a shine to them, so they looked a little bit metallic, I guess you could say. And now I'm taking a piece of black fun foam. I am totally out of my 3M roll of foam, and so I'm using my fun foam, which is great because I need to use all of that up. And I'm just going to pop that right there in the middle. And I think it's looking really cute. And so now I'm going to create my sentiment, and I'm going to use some black cardstock and use my little embossing buddy there to make sure I get all the static or moisture off of the paper so that none of the embossing powder will stick to places I don't want it to stick, only onto where I put my Versamark clear sticky ink. And that's going to go right there, and I'm going to use my white embossing powder to go over that ink, and that just creates like a nice dimensional sentiment for you. And you want to heat that up until it's a little bit shiny. And it just creates a nice little impact. And you want to wipe off the excess embossing buddy powder on there. You don't want to leave that on there. You want that crisp black to show back up. And so I'm just using a towel to wipe that off. I'm going to cut this down and create a fishtail out of it as well. Yeah, and I think it's looking pretty good. Sorry for that bump in the camera. Anyway, this is basically the card here, and just putting a little bit of shadow down underneath the ninjas with that same green that I created the ground area. And this is my card project, and thank you guys so much for stopping by and watching my video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and look out for some more videos coming up real soon. I have, like I said, my guest design projects for April. There'll be 4 of those, and I'm also doing a spring series as well. So I hope you guys will come back and join me again. And I also put a still shot here of the card that my 6-year-old created, and I think he did a really good job. What do you guys think? Here it is. Thanks guys so much for stopping by. I'll see you next time.